Hello, BookTube, and welcome to your Daily Penguin. This is our slow, steady waddle through my wall of Penguin classics. These books are go with me everywhere, no matter what the size of the rest of the library does. The rest of the library has shrunk to a couple of boxes. It has grown to much, much bigger than it is now. Bookcases in every room, 6 or 7 rooms. Books piled on the floor everywhere. I have been up to 10,000 books, and I'm nowhere near that now. But the one constant, the one DNA constant in all of that has been these Penguin books. They are my oldest and best friends. In their old mass market paperback editions, in their older translations, and then steadily updating as the as time and occasion and money warrant. And we are in the long Middle Ages. We are in the long Dark Ages right now, the books that we're looking at. And the same is true today. Today is 1270, the 13th century, is when this thing was written down, when it was codified, the Codex Regius. And we've seen that pattern many times this week, where we're looking at something that has a relatively discrete beginning point, but that beginning point is only the point at which a vast amorphous oral tradition was codified in a written form. And if the tumblers had gone a different way in a different second, the codified version would be completely different. We've seen that a few times, and we're seeing that today with one of my favorites. This is the Elder Edda. The Penguin Classic is translated by Andy Orchard, and this is the Black Spine Penguin Classic. This is a collection that was written down by an anonymous scholar in the 13th century, but it obviously predates that scholar by centuries, and it's a smorgasbord of stories from Norse mythology, about Odin and Thor, about the beginning of the Norse world, about the ride of the Valkyries. This is the House of Sigurd. This is all sorts of, it's a wonderful blend of mythology and folklore and heroic saga, with lots and lots of fun and whimsy and dark humor injected all throughout. And Andy Orchard does a fantastic job translating this, and also, as you can tell from the size of the thing, there's a huge amount of critical apparatus here. The introduction, the endnotes, all sorts of clarifying tables, all in an attempt to demystify this world, because this mythological world is not nearly as familiar as the mythological world of ancient Greece. It can be very strange. It can be very, very strange. It is, even the basic underpinnings are different. The basic ideological underpinnings are far more prosaic, far more mundane. The gods in Norse mythology operate under their own kind of mortality. The whole world is going to end, including them. Ragnarok will not spare the gods. They know that they are doomed as well as humans are. And they also hope for rebirth when Ragnarok is over. And so there's a kind of, they are devious and powerful and dangerous to the humans they interact with in these stories, but they're not all that different from those humans in an even more pronounced way than the gods of ancient Greece and Rome are similar to the humans that interact with them in the stories. And these stories are terrific. Andy Orchard does a great job selecting them and then rendering them in their own verse idiom. Because that verse idiom, I don't know if you can tell here, but it changes from bit to bit, from piece to piece, and so I cannot recommend these highly enough. And Penguin has 2 to offer. I think they still make this one. But then a few years after they did this, they did a selection of literature from the Norse world and gave them cover designs by Petra Borner that are lovely. This is still the Andy Orchard Elder Edda. It's the same book. It's just, it looks very different. It looks far more ornate, and it also looks, it's of a visual palette with the other volumes in the series, some of which we'll see here on the March of the Penguins, because I got the whole set from Penguin. So I actually have 2 of these, and it's not my only Elder Edda. I have 2 Penguin Elder Eddas in this room, but I also have a third Elder Edda in this room, which I just love the way it's done. This is an even smaller selection, but this is by Paul Taylor and W.H. Auden. This is a translation of the Elder Edda that they did. I believe they dedicate this to Tolkien. They dedicate it to Tolkien. And this, I I have always loved this. I had a mass market paperback forever and ever. Had it literally held together with rubber bands because I love the way they do it. And just as simple as that. I have nothing but respect for Andy Orchard, but I love this too. And it's a great storehouse of mythological and folklore and folkloric writing. So why not have a number of different translations? Right? It doesn't stop me from having multiple translations of the Aeneid or the Bible or the Iliad. So I don't think this is all that great a luxury. I was overjoyed when I found a hardcover with a dust jacket. Overjoyed, because my mass market paperback, I have it in a desk drawer. Don't even have it on a bookshelf because it's on its last legs. I couldn't possibly. I'd read it page by page now. This will last me. This is not the only Elder Edda that I have. I actually recommend both of these, although I don't know if this one is in print. I once again didn't check ahead of time on the video. But one of the things that Andy Orchard does in his introduction, he does a great introduction to this volume. And one of the things he does to his introduction here that won me over, that just touched my heart, is that he mentions Roger Lancelyn Green. Roger Lancelyn Green was a Victorian children's book author, an Edwardian and Victorian redactor of mythology. He did a whole bunch of mythological volumes where he told basically those stories. He told those stories for children. Andy Orchard encountered his book when he was just a boy, and so did I. This is the book, Myths of the Northmen, that has these scratchy line illustrations all throughout. There's the forging of a magic spear. There's Thor and Loki heading to a giant's home. Let me see if this tells me when this first came out. This was first published as the Saga of Asgard in 1960, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I've read this so many times. This volume I got just a few years ago at the Prattle Bookshop, because I'm always in the mood to grab it, because my copies, I wear them out. I go back to them so often, I wear them out. I wrote a long novella, really a short novel, called simply Edda, that follows Hogni the Troll Smasher, just an ordinary guy with a rune encrypted glove that enhances the strength of his hand so that he can destroy trolls, and he makes a good living hiring out on a freelance basis to towns who are afflicted by a troll at their bridge or their local fjord, where they hire Hogni to go and get rid of the troll, just kill the troll and get it out of there. And he takes a fee, and then he moves on his way. And in Edda, he becomes wrapped up in the end of the Norse world. Little does he know, little does anybody know, that the Fimbulwinter has descended on the world, and that Ragnarok is right around the corner, and that he's going to play a part. The gods are going to need his help in a small way in the course of the book. And I had a blast doing that. And I went back to this as often as I did to my books on Norse mythology or to the Elder Edda. I went back to this because when I wrote Edda, I did not have this book. Wish I had, but. In other words, I've had a long and joyful interaction with this mythological cycle. I just love it. I don't particularly view it as extravagant to have two. so that is your Penguin Classic for today, is the Elder Edda. I strongly recommend it. I'm sure there's an Elder Edda that you can download for free, because people have been translating this in one adaptation or another for quite some time, to see if you like the flavor of it. But anyway, that is your Penguin Classic for today. We are bouncing around in time, so the technical date for the Codex Regius, the book that this is from, is I think 1270, and it's just one book. It's just one copy, and it's got a huge chunk missing from it that's painful to think about. And that's it. If we didn't have this, we wouldn't have a lot of these stories. We wouldn't know anything about them. But again, this is not a chronological tour. This Penguin Classic March of the Penguins is not a chronological tour. This is not a classroom syllabus. And it wouldn't matter anyway, in a way, because this is kind of amorphous, right? The material that was written down in 1270 existed for a long time before it was written down, and varying from each bit to bit. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, who knows where we'll be tomorrow? I haven't looked yet. So I'm going to wrap this up for now with a strong recommend for the Elder Edda, and I will be back tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.